Welcome to Pound for Pound Sports, everybody. I'm Nick.
And I'm Jason, sitting in for Darren this week.
Thank you so much for joining us on Justin TV, pfpsports.com main page. I know we keep switching everything up on everybody. We've been advertising Wednesday at 7, Wednesday at 6:30. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do those two shows back-to-back like we talked about doing for a long time. I really just think it's going to be better all over, just for the show, something people can count on. And, just Saturday, you're never more relevant than Saturday. I mean, it gives us an opportunity to basically take two shows that are completely separate and put them together. So we really have a great opportunity to cover everything. So we're going to do that next week. That is the last time that we're going to change, and we'll advertise it everywhere. We'll pimp it all week. So.
Well, it's kind of like we've been throwing everything we can at the wall, and this is what finally is going to stick.
Yeah, I think it'll be better for everybody.
Right.
We're not always switching. We're just it's more
Right.
consistency, and we can really be creative. So bear with us. pfpsports.com is always going to be the site. We're always updating things, and we're actually working on a lot of new stuff and new content, so stay tuned. I also want to mention our friend Sean McIntosh from RB Cards. He was supposed to be in here today. He wasn't able to make it, so we're going to shoot for maybe sometime next week. Visit him on Facebook, facebook.com/RB Cards, or go to rbcardsandhobby.com. Check him out. He's always doing a lot of memorabilia type stuff, personal appearances. We were talking about the UFC cards last
Right.
week, so we'll have him in next week, and we'll talk about a bunch of stuff. So that takes us to our stories portion here, and I always like to talk about this show just because we talk a lot of mainstream things and we give a lot of opinions. It's not just a lot of facts and figures, so it's a show we always really enjoy doing. So one of the top stories this week, Michael Bisping, apparently.
Again.
Michael Bisping. It's either Michael Bisping or it's UFC 151 talk.
Exactly.
It's been like that for weeks now.
Yeah.
But, Bisping, he's one of those guys that have been around for a long time, and he still has yet to get a title shot. Clearly the guy's hungry.
Yeah.
He's already, calling out Anderson Silva. He's kind of pulling the whole Sonnen card.
Everybody's calling on Anderson Silva.
Right. I mean, it worked for Sonnen. Why wouldn't it work for everybody else? You know what I mean? So that's the direction he's going. He says he's ready to take the Expletive title away from Silva. I think it's a classic mistake a lot of fighters make is talking about title and basically looking past the guy that they're supposed to fight next. Especially, I don't think it's a good idea, especially when you're not even the clear-cut number one contender yet. You still have to beat Brian Stann. That's no small task.
No, not at all.
Yeah, no, what I want to know is, should the people on Justin TV and should Bisping fans alike, should they be worried that he's talking about anything or anybody other than Brian Stann right now?
Well, I would be. I mean, it's just like within any sport. You need to worry about who's right in front of you, and it has been a mistake that a lot of fighters have been making lately, and the UFC does not have bad fighters. Every single one of them is good. Every single one of them is a challenge, and Brian Stann is no joke. You know?
No, he's look at his last couple fights. I mean, the progression. I mean, he almost obviously in a different sort of way, but he kind of reminds me of a Daniel Cormier. Just his progression from fight to fight is really something amazing. So, I mean, to look past a guy like that, I'm sure if you ask Bisping, he's going to tell you I'm not looking past him. But
well, that's what he's going to say.
But I mean,
but he's talking about somebody else. He's not talking about Brian Stann.
Right. The title talk is irrelevant until you beat him.
Exactly.
So, it kind of does suggest that you are looking past him.
The thing is, though, in a way, I haven't always been a huge fan of Michael Bisping. The first time we all got to see him was when he was on The Ultimate Fighter. He came off a little bit douchey.
Sure.
Then when he was a coach, he came off really douchey to me anyways. And so that kind of pulled me away. But when you just look at the way he fights and everything, he deserves a title shot.
He does.
Unfortunately, the way the UFC has been going right now and what they proved with Chael Sonnen is whoever barks the loudest and makes the most noise seems to be the one that gets the title shots.
There's a fair amount of truth in that. I mean, at the end of the day, it is about selling fights.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, for crying out loud, they were going to give Sonnen the 205 shot.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, timing is everything.
So maybe he's learning from that. Maybe he's saying that's what you have to do in this business because he seems to have earned a title shot in the octagon and he hasn't gotten it yet. So maybe he's going to try a different approach.
Yeah, no, I mean, he certainly can run his gums as well as anybody out there. I mean, it has worked for Sonnen. I mean, let's be honest. Unfortunately for Bisping, I mean, he's just kind of stuck in a point in time where there's a real serious logjam at 185. I mean, quite possibly a jam that we've never really seen before, or at least not on this magnitude in that division. I mean,
that's true.
You got a steady dose of just, wrestlers, guys that are, just all sorts of different type of fighters, and then at the top is Anderson Silva.
Which makes it even more frustrating, the fact that Chael Sonnen got another fight against Anderson Silva. When you have that logjam, you have all those other fighters that deserve one, and Chael Sonnen talked his way into a tie. He tricked everybody. He tricked everybody. The UFC should feel tricked, except they don't because they made a ton of money.
Oh, I mean, did a million buys,
Yeah.
just like we thought.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I think that's absolutely a great point. I mean, you look at a guy like Chris Weidman right now. I mean, he can't even find a. In fact, I would even argue he's regressed an opponent. I mean, to go from where he just went and where he's headed, to step back and kind of. I mean, I hate to say step back and fight Tim Boesch, but I mean, I don't think he's in Hector or in Mark Munoz's just I don't think he's in his category. He's not in his. I don't know, man. I just think it's two totally distinctly different fighters, dangerous in their own way, and I think Boesch is a bit of a step back.
Right, and what's funny is they're talking about having Anderson Silva step up and fight John Jones at catchweight and stuff, which I mean you're going to talk about catchweight later on I think today, but what's the point of doing that when you have all these relevant fights? You still could be making it 185.
No, I completely agree with you. I mean it's just it's terrible, and I was also going to ask you. I mean take a look at guys like Nate Marquardt, Kenny Florian. I mean, those are guys that were notorious for, I always on the title instead of the guy right in front of him.
Exactly.
And that leads to, just inconsistency, changing weight. I mean, it's just, I don't think any good's ever going to come out of talking about title.
No.
Before you're ready.
Shut your mouth, fight the guy, and it's not only that, but it is very, I mean, in a sport that's very, very much built around respect and respecting your opponent and stuff. What more disrespect can you give to somebody by talking about by not talking about the guy you're fighting?
Right.
You're talking about somebody else.
No, absolutely. And I'll close out that thought by saying that I think Sonnen said it best when he said the UFC isn't a place where you come to learn how to fight. Just too many ways to lose.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
That says it all right there. I mean, don't look past anybody.
Yeah.
Crazy week. I mean, it's really been a crazy year, crazy couple of years. It's really been, the injury bug has really been an epidemic the last 3 years, but it's been particularly bad in 2012.
What's funny is the last time I sat here, it's been a little while. It's been a while since you've been sick, Darren. We talked about the injury bug, and you were asking me, is this the start of a trend and stuff? Well, how many months later is it, and we're still talking about it, and it looks like there's no end in sight. I mean, it's
getting worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got Vladimir Matyushenko. He tore his Achilles tendon. He was supposed to fight Matt Hamill. Matt Hamill's now going to fight a guy named Roger Hollett. Quentin Rampage Jackson, he's out of UFC 153 due to an undisclosed injury. I don't know if that's changed as of right now. I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything anywhere. They just say he's injured and he will not be fighting UFC 153. No replacement named yet. And, of course, Jose Aldo, he's now forced out of UFC 153.
Hit by a car for crying out loud.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
It was, and it's funny because I was thinking, man, if that's even remotely true, I mean, he's going to attempt to fight. It's got to be a hometown thing. And, I was looking everywhere. I've seen pictures of him. I think we even had one last week of him with it wasn't a cast. It was more like a wrap. And I was thinking, okay, maybe he's got enough time to pull this off. Apparently he doesn't. I mean, so we got a main event and a co-main event. Bit the dust all in one day. I got to ask you, obviously this is an epidemic. What can be done? I mean, what do we do about this?
Nothing can be done, and it goes back to the UFC. They have such good fighters. It is such a deep roster. You have to train so hard. Not only that, but when you have a roster as deep as it is, you go into a title fight, or you're not even at the title fight. You're working your way towards a title fight, and you lose, that knocks you down. There are so many valid people that deserve title shots. That knocks you so far down. It makes every fight so meaningful, which means they're training. Not only that, but you have so many up-and-comers that are training with them, so the potential to get injured is just so much bigger now.
No, I completely agree. I mean, do you think that having too many cards just throughout the course of the year, I mean, you have so many free cards now, which we all love. I mean, I haven't heard anybody say that they hate that about the UFC. But, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, a lot of people out there are very skeptical of the amount of cards that they're having, just saying that, that might kind of be it's not helping the problem.
Well, the problem is if you're going to – you can't – with the roster that they have, what are they going to do? If you cut down the cards, you're going to have guys fighting once or twice a year.
It's an excellent point. I mean, and it's a double-edged sword too, because when you're buying all the competition, I mean, your roster's growing. I mean, you can't have a roster like that with nobody fighting. I mean, a lot of guys like to fight 3 times a year, some even more. I mean, especially the guys that aren't making the the guys, 6 figures.
The guys that aren't on the main card, the guys that are on the, you got to fight 3, 4, 5 times a year to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, with the money that they're making, they have camps to pay, they have trainers to pay, they have all sorts of stuff. Everybody's taking a little bite out of that money. You got to fight a lot.
Well, you know what a lot of other people aren't actually thinking about there, and is the fact that you take away your John Joneses, the Rashad Evans, the guys that are making, well into the six figures, got all the endorsement deals. A lot of the undercard fighters, what they do in their off time, I mean, they can only fight so many times. They sign exclusivity contracts with the UFC, so they can't fight anywhere else. And then what a lot of them do is they actually the gyms that they're associated with, they actually give private lessons, seminars. I mean, a lot of people don't even know how much traveling some of these people do on an annual basis.
Right, they have to, because they're not. There's only, you only hear about the big guys. You hear about the big paydays. You hear about, like you said, John Jones. They're making all this type of money, but there are guys at the bottom that, they got to work for a living, man.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, man. It's I mean, there's nothing you could do for those guys. I mean, they got to fight.
They got to fight.
What's crazy is I was thinking, it's kind of a terrible analogy to draw, but I always I like fantasy football. I mean, it's like who doesn't like fantasy football out there?
I don't
let's
like
be
fantasy
honest.
football out
Yeah,
there.
you must be the only guy in America that doesn't like fantasy.
Huge football fan. I hate fantasy football.
Yeah, of course he. You know what? It's the parallel that I'm drawing here is just that I think something has to be done. I mean, you can't take away the cards. You can't cut half your roster. You're paying all these guys. I think what they should do, because sometimes you get a situation where they're, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Well, somebody got injured here. Let's pull from this, and it sucks because anybody that's bought a lot of the tickets, obviously, over the years the tickets are going through the roof.
Right.
And actually, it reminds me when I just went to Sonnen Silva 2, I was paranoid leading up to the week of the fight. Somebody was going to bite the dust. I paid $300 face value, and that's only because I had a UFC Fight Club, So what happens when that main event status it bites the dust?
Right.
You paid for a certain main event. I've been to a couple UFCs where they haven't been the greatest on paper. They turned out to be great, but the bottom line is you paid for a certain matchup.
You're paying for a certain matchup.
And if you don't have one of equal value to replace it with, kind of. It's just my opinion that the fans kind of lose out a little bit, especially with the price of tickets, hotels, planes, you name it.
Sure.
What I think they should do is do something similar to what they do like in fantasy football, where you kind of rank people. You put them in a certain category. You give them just an idea. You give them a statistical value. Each card has a certain expectation it has to live up to. I mean, it's just an idea. You should rank people across the board, and you should assess a value on the quality of the cards.
I don't think that would work, but I'll tell you why the UFC is not going to change what they're doing, because they're selling out events and the pay-per-view buys are huge.
They're never going to change. Yeah. I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying that it's just you'd like to really with the cancellation of 151, it really falls on the matchmaking at the end of the day.
Yeah, but we got to give them a slide, because it was 151 UFCs before something got canceled.
That's very true.
You don't want to make wholesale changes when you have when something that affects one time. You know what I mean?
Very true. And I'm the first one on Joe Silva's job when he does a great job.
You've always done a great job of praising him, and everybody's been all over him for this. But let's give the guy a break. You hit 150 home runs in a row.
Build 1,000 bridges.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's true. I mean, it's tough.
Let's cut the guy a little bit of slack. That's what I say.
It's tough because you got guys like in Toronto. All of a sudden, they just walked into a John Jones main event versus. Say another card, you can't. I mean, 153 is just it's taking on water like you wouldn't believe. You know? I mean, it's just you'd like to see a certain amount of guys in reserve. I don't know. Something's got to be done. I mean, it's kind of brutal no matter how you slice it. Yeah. Real quick, I want to know just since we're talking about that UFC 153 in Brazil. There's been some rumors. I mean, we all know what internet rumors are all about. You never know what to believe. I'm just throwing it out there. The rumors are that Sonnen and Wanderlei Silva might be a potential card or fight they might put together. We're 4 weeks out. First off, is that something that you're interested in, or do you think anybody else would be? How tough of a sell is that?
I'll tell you, I'm not super interested in it. I'll definitely watch it. I mean, it's not that I don't want to see it. I would never have matched those guys up.
Yeah.
I hear it's going to be at a catch weight.
Has to be 195, right?
Catch weight. The thing that bothers me with a catch weight, it's kind of like when you're watching. You watch a show that has a certain progression. Let's say like Sons of Anarchy, which just started again, by the way.
Right.
And you're expecting it to progress, and you have that one show where nothing happens, and that's what this is. This does nothing to progress the sport, and you watch UFC, you watch MMA like it's a show, like it's a progression, and every fight makes another fight. This one does nothing. It's like
there's really nowhere to go from here.
Right. It's like Gracie against Hughes. It's just a fight that happened, but it didn't do anything.
Really for entertainment value at the end of the day. With their Brazil cards, I mean, obviously it's a different type of crowd down there. I mean, they're pulling in numbers like 40 million on free TV. I mean, it's a whole different networking down there. Obviously the timing sucks after 151. You can't nix another card. particularly in Brazil. I mean, they need to put something together. I just
don't like it when you're having people fight at a weight that's not a weight that holds a belt, and it's just a made-up weight. I just don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. Fight at a specific weight.
One or the other. Yeah. It's tough because that jump from 185 to 205 isn't like the jumps from the rest of the divisions.
Right.
It's tough, but I mean, this is I want to say Vanderlei's third or fourth catchweight fight in the UFC.
They're kind of bringing him in because of his name, because everybody loves. He's got such a huge
in Brazil
following.
This will save the numbers in Brazil. They'll watch their hero, but he's got to win. He's got to do something. I mean, this is.
There's a pretty good chance he's not going to get knocked out. And that's.
I don't think he's going to get knocked out. Does Sonnen run his mouth if that happened? I mean, this is a big if. Who even knows?
First of all, Sonnen's going to run his mouth anyways because he's going to sell the fight.
Very interesting. It'll be very interesting. That seems like the logical move for the UFC. So I mean, we'll wait and see what happens. You got anything out there you want to plug?
No, I'm follow Darren at Darren PFP Sports on Twitter.
Absolutely. We got another segment here coming up. We have Michelle Ould from Team Quest. Big fight at Bellator 74. We can't wait to talk women's MMA when we come back. This is the Pound for Pound Sports Show. Welcome back to the Pound for Pound Sports Show. I'm Nick.
I'm Jason, sitting in for Darren this week.
And this is our final segment of the Wednesday show. I wanted to introduce our next guest. She has a professional MMA record of 7-3. She fights at a Team Quest, and she has an upcoming fight at Bellator Fighting Championship 74 on September 28 at Caesars Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. I'm joined by Michelle Thundercat Ould. Michelle, thanks so much for being on our show. How are you?
I am good, and thank you for having me. How are you guys?
Oh, we're great. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm real happy for you. I mean, you get a big opportunity here with Bellator. It's a really nice venue. I mean, they have a TV deal, a little bit bigger stage, quarterfinals. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, how does it feel to be involved with Bellator right now?
I feel like it's a blessing, and it's something that I've been working hard for a very long time. I've put a lot of hours and sacrifice in the gym, in and out of the gym when it comes to MMA, and I've never really had a platform to showcase my skill or any of my, anything that I have to offer the sport. And, even videos that I've had online have been taken offline by past managers, and, it kind of isn't really a good thing for me. And, I'm just really stoked. I'm grateful more than anything else. I don't feel entitled or anything like that. They had quite a few girls to choose from. My manager, Brett, actually with Addison Sports, he had numerous girls at 125 pounds, and I'm like the furthest one away, and they actually chose me, and I was like,
that's
I
awesome.
just felt really blessed, not
sure.
that I'm like religious or anything like that, but yeah, you have no idea. I was just elated, to say the least.
I was going to say, it's a good thing you're not religious. I mean, you're actually going to Atlantic City. I wanted to know, have you ever been there?
Yes. Yes. And, God, it's dirty over there. No offense to Atlantic City, New Jersey. Some of them are great. But I just remember going to every single bathroom I went to. I was like, God, it's gross here.
Wow.
But I'm a California girl, and
for sure.
I grew up poor and everything, so now it's like I always try to surround myself with, like, I don't know, in nice cities and pretty areas and stuff, and then it's like, I don't know, it's like everywhere you go, I'm just like, God, it's dirty here. But I haven't been necessarily, like, downtown Atlantic City, so I'm interested to, like, kind of hang out there after I fight or whatever.
That's awesome. How long are you guys going to be out there? Are you going to make a week of it, a weekend?
I'm going in a little bit early just because I have to get some medicals done. So, gosh, I know I got my flight, but I haven't even looked at it. I just forwarded it to my manager. And then I'll probably be out there for, like, a total of 5 days.
That's awesome. I mean,
like my MRI and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, all the dot the I's, cross the T's, all that good stuff. I mean, how ready are you just to get on the plane and just get after it? Are you just sitting there just watching the clock or what?
I know, right?
For sure.
It's true. It's like when I first got into it, it's like, there are times that, and not a lot of fighters will ever admit, and I don't care what a fighter says, oh, I'm not nervous, I'm not scared, I'm not this, I'm not that. I've always been a very honest person. I've been like, holy shit, I'm nervous, sorry, 13. Holy crap, I'm nervous, like before my Rakosi fight, we didn't know, it was her debut. she was like 33-3 as a boxer, and we didn't know what she was doing, like
Right.
MMA wise. It was like a last minute call. I had like 7 days to get ready, and
Wow.
I just got back from like partying in Florida, and I was like, oh my God, I was so nervous for that fight. I will admit when I'm nervous, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not even necessarily being scared about another person or what they'll do to you. It's about MMA, you know, pretty much to the point now where it's like the ref steps in before you get really too hurt.
Right.
You know, it's a very controlled sport. It's just about like with me, it's like I just get nervous making mistakes or letting down the people that have invested in me or look up to me, or you know what I mean,
Well,
my training partners, my coaches, my gym.
You've put in a lot of hard
But
work
for
and a lot of
this one,
time.
when I heard with this, and not that I'm overconfident by any means, I was just really happy. I was just like, cool, you know, and I actually get some time to train, you know, because I'm like one of those girls that, you know, unless there's like something going on that I absolutely cannot do it, I step in for last minute fights all the time, even if I'm not training. I cannot even tell you how many times I've done that.
Michelle, let me ask you, how long was your camp, and do you think it went well? Like, how do you feel after all said and done?
Let's see, about 2.5 weeks. I feel great right now. You know, I'm peaking right now, so I feel fantabulous. I'm on my way to CSA Gym right now in San Francisco, which is like, I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but they're so legit. That is such a legit gym.
I have heard of them, actually.
What's that?
I said I have heard of them, actually. You're right.
Hey, Michelle, Jason here. At Team Quest, you train with both men and women, of course, and you have experience watching them get ready for fights. Is cutting weight different for women than it is for men? And if so, is it easier or harder?
How do I what?
Cutting weight for the fight?
Oh, cutting weight? Oh, man, I got that down to a science. It's completely different. When I first started, you know, I just kind of jumped in with both feet and got kind of suckered into going pro, thinking that, you know, like I took a pro boxing match thinking that, and I actually had a promoter lie to me, and even like some of the commission lie to me and say, you can do a pro boxing match and still do amateur MMA. And I was like, all right, cool, you know. And then come to find out that was a lie, but I was just so eager just to get in there, you know. And when I first started cutting weight, let's see, I was fighting out of Scotland's gym at the time, and they just did it like the same way they've done, and they've been doing it, you know, they're wrestlers, they've been doing it forever, so they had me cutting weight the same way as them, and it was hell. I was just like, really? Should I be feeling like this right now? Like, this is like the worst thing ever. Now it's like I got it down to a science. You really have to watch, you know, like your water and stuff like that, and your sodium with women a little bit different, you know what I mean? And I just have a little trick. And when the girls actually listen to me at the gym, they freaking make weight, no problem. When they don't listen to me, they struggle.
Right.
And I've taken tips from, you know, like wrestlers, from a little bit of everybody. And, you know, you got to find what's best for you. But it's best to not be walking around at such a heavy weight and then cutting a huge amount and then trying to put a huge amount of weight back on. And I think slowly as we're evolving in this sport, people are figuring that out. Coaches are figuring that out. You know, once you get that skill is there, you know, it's like, why do you want to put on all this extra weight and you feel sluggish? You had a hard weight cut. You know what I mean? You want to be at your best. So, like, right now I'm walking around super close to my weight. Like the lightest I've probably been walking around at a long time. And some people might think that's a disadvantage. To me, it's an advantage because I have to travel across the country. And, you know what I mean? Who knows how hectic and chaotic things are going to be. I'd rather be prepared before time, not to mention it's easier on my back to be lighter.
For sure.
To me, it's just best to not be trying to cut so much weight because I have done it where I've taken fights and all I did was cut weight. I've cut up to 17 pounds in like 4 days.
Wow.
And for a woman, that's a lot.
That's a lot for anybody.
And, I didn't even do that right, you know. And I've like, I have a couple of like fitness friends, like bodybuilder friends. They kind of give me some tricks and stuff, and like foods and different things. And I'm just kind of, in a little bit from everybody. And now it's like making weight's not a problem at all.
That's awesome. Michelle Ould joining us on the show. She's got credentials. You've won Naga Vegas, No-Gi, Grappler's Quest World Series, Blood Brothers No-Gi Women's Tournament. I mean, clearly you're no stranger to competing even outside MMA. What motivates you to still compete in all those competitions just outside of fighting?
I mean, I want to do more, honestly, if it wasn't for having to work, go to school, support 2 children. I would be doing it all the time. I'd be in the gym all the time. Sometimes it can get frustrating. I would like to be, I don't know, either find a sugar daddy, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
win the lottery or something, because that is my passion, that is my love. I like to compete, but just to test myself, not because I want, like, these titles and, like, the fame and stuff. Like, honestly, when I go to fight, there's some girls, and not to name any names, but I could rattle them off, but they just love to just be like, look at me, look at me. I'm like the opposite. I'm just like, it's just me and her, and I'm going to see where I'm at right now. You know what I mean? That's what a fight is. So many people put so many other things on fights. I know a lot of people are gambling and stuff, and I get that, and they're putting money and wagering and this, that, and the other, and it's my school versus your school, who's better.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's been plenty of fighters that are better than the other fighter that win or that lose on any given day. You know what I mean? Like, anything can happen in MMA and a mistake or whatever. Like, if somebody can get a lucky shot, and it doesn't make them a better fighter. It's just either maybe they had a better game plan or something just
a better night.
Crazy happens. That's what's crazy about MMA. Like, rankings and stuff, it's so hard to do that, but like me, I'm actually a shy fighter.
Yeah.
Like, I used to hate shadow boxing in front of people because I was shy.
Really?
Honestly, I'm beyond that obviously now, I mean, it comes with time, but and it's not that I'm like so insecure, it's just like I'm a perfectionist, and it's like if I make a mistake, I'm like, oh man, I'm letting down my coach, or I'm letting down the people that have, like, really put a lot of time into me or whatever. And, I don't know. I don't even remember what the question was.
Let me ask you another one. Let me ask you another one. How has being at a place like Team Quest helped you? I mean, you get to train sometimes with the likes of Dan Henderson, Sokaju, Tarek Sefati, and just to name a few. Was that the perfect fit for you and your style, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Because Dan, he has the same kind of, like, back issues as I do, so he does, like, the Greco-Roman and stuff, and, like, can teach the stuff that works for me more. We do kind of have the same type of style, not to compare myself to Dan by any stretch of the imagination. It's just that he does things that works for me. Like, we're the 2 old people in the back, on the foam rollers, stretching out for half an hour before practice. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
And that works for me, I mean, I can still take shots with the best of them, like like for takedowns or whatever.
Right.
And I have fast shots. It's just like I prefer, to stay safe, after watching, a couple of girls get knees in the face and knocked out, it's like it's better and safer sometimes to just go to the body. And, that's what they teach a lot at the gym. But, there's a combination and a mixture. It's very family-oriented, and I have children. I used to train at Uriah Faber's gym, and that was very Hollywood-ish,
Oh,
kind of. It was getting to the point where the guys were kind of blowing up. Chad was getting up there. Joseph was getting up there on, this was before WC got bought out, so the little guys were still kind of, on, Joseph was on, main events and stuff.
Yeah.
Now I can't even see my buddy on a main event, and he's with the UFC. Everyone was so excited about WC being bought out by the UFC, and I hardly ever see any of my buddies, on main cards anymore. The smaller guys, which are like some of the most exciting fights. It sucks.
Let me ask you this: how long did it take? Are they making you work hard enough for your purple belt over there, Team Quest?
Oh, Oh, yeah. Respect me about this. Because I never go in the gi, man. But, if I had more time, honestly, all it is the fact that I have such a busy life. If I could, I would, take every single class and be able to do my gi class as well. But before a fight, I do not roll in the gi because I have more than once gotten hurt in the gi before a fight. Like, my right shoulder is totally popped up higher than my left shoulder.
Wow.
Because of, I basically broke it. They said I ruptured a bursa sac. That thing got, something in my shoulder straight up broke, and it will never be the same. And so I'm really paranoid about that. And, I don't know. It's just I respect the gi. Do not get me wrong. I don't want to get into a freaking argument with my coach about this. But, I am from what everyone else is, I'm tapping out purple belts and brown belts left and right.
That's what I hear.
It really isn't anything, and that's in the gi even. I don't know what it's called. He's like, you need to know what the names of them are, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I can't remember all the names, man. I got so much crap going on in my life right now. I don't even remember what I ate for breakfast. All I know is I go with the flow. I remember the moves. I do it. Sometimes I make up my own. If I'm tapping out, your brown belts and your best purple belt that everybody was so shocked because even though he's a purple belt, they feel that he's the best one in the class, and I just went and armbarred him. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because I don't know names to certain things. I don't know. But every coach does things differently, and you have to respect that. And it really doesn't, I don't know, to me, titles and things like that, it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they say, a black belt, they get in the ring, and if they get punched in the face, all of a sudden they turn to a white belt. Some of them can't take a punch. Who cares?
Everybody's got a plan until they get hit. Let me ask you one more question, Michelle. You're fighting Muna Holland. She's 5-1, also at 125 pounds. End of the day, how do you see this fight going?
How do I see this fight going?
Yes.
I don't know if I really want to predict anything like that.
No?
I have my plan. I've seen what she does. And, I see how she sees the fight going. She wants to knock me out, and that's what I'm prepared for. And, Karina Dam took that fight on, a week's notice or whatever. She had, absolutely no gas whatsoever. I haven't watched either hers or Mariana Kayfet's fight with Muna Harrow. And no offense to Mariana, I think she's freaking gorgeous. I think she needs a little bit more experience, but I think she's a little hyped. She shouldn't be ranked above me because Heather Clark was beating her before Heather Clark got her eye, somehow mysteriously swollen shut. And then Heather Clark, her and camp refused to fight me. And I have that from, two different people from XFC that she, was scared to fight me. So technically, I think Heather should be ranked above Mariana, despite the fact because of her eye, just because of the win, that was a freak thing. I don't know. The rankings just pissed me off so bad I can't even explain.
The rankings piss everybody off.
Mariana, I don't think was that great, so Muna knocked her out because Gwen stood and banged with her, and Muna can throw hard. Muna throws hard.
For sure. Everybody sees that when you look at a fight.
Don't bring a knife to a gunfight. You got to work around that. You got to,
It's awesome.
Just don't play into her strengths. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna be trying, and I never have before. I've always just gone in head first and just wanted to bang. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing that,
but you're ready.
What I've been working on in this training camp, to be honest with you, all Muay Thai.
All Muay Thai?
All stand up.
Beautiful.
All stand up. Because my ground is already slick, legit. I should be probably a brown belt, and I don't really have any worries, and my wrestling is really good, and, I still roll and everything, don't get me wrong. I just want to be a well-rounded fighter. And I'm excited, and it's kind of a bummer because it's right before we end this fight, came about. I was actually trying to help Muna find her nickname.
That's
It's kind
crazy.
of funny, you know, we get along and everything, and she's a sweet lady, and you know, she throws bombs, so it's like I'm totally prepared for that, and I can take a punch. And you know, I think Karina was just kind of gassed out. You know, props to her for taking it at last minute. I couldn't because I think I was in New York or something. I was like, I can't, and I was out of town, and so you know, at the end of the day, you know, everybody's pretty much predicting a war, and they think it's absolutely ridiculous that it's on the prelims, because I don't know anyone else that's fighting on that card that's even worth really bumping us. No, I'm not saying not
No,
worth.
I know what you mean.
I'm just saying worth bumping us down to the prelims. Like, at least put us like the first fight. You know what I mean?
I do.
Or add us on or something, because it's, you know, two good girls in our rankings, you know, depending on the popularity. You know, Muna's popular right now. Sometimes I'm more popular some months than others. It just depends, because I kind of have a mouth on me sometimes.
I don't
think
believe
that's BS, too, because you have
No.
a personality as a girl. Your ranking will go up or down. That is BS. I'm me, take it or leave it. It should just be based on your skill set. However, you know, we're both, you know, for the most part, we're ranked in the top 10. Any other, if there were two men ranked in the top 10, they'd be on the main card. Period.
You know, politics come into rankings for every division. Politics are part of it. It sucks. That's just the way the rankings are, though. I agree with you, though.
Yep.
Hey, Michelle, I got to jump in there. I want to point out to everybody before we leave, you guys can check her out, Bellator 74 on MTV2, September 28, Caesars Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. www.MichelleOuld, that's OULD.com. Give her a like on Facebook.com/Michelle-Ould and at Michelle Ould. Have I said Michelle Ould enough for one show?
Ould. Twitter, yeah. I'm revamping my my website. I don't even touch that thing, but we're getting a new one by Apocalypse MMA. They're going to build me a new one, so it'll be updated and stuff like that. So,
well, let me also point out that if anybody's interested in sponsoring Michelle, contact Michelle through any one of those mediums, or contact Brett with Addison Sports Management. I've had the pleasure of speaking with Brett. He's an awesome guy, very helpful. Michelle, we wish you nothing but the best. We're pulling for you,
Thank
and
you so much.
We would love to hear back from you one day soon. Good luck to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor.
Thanks a lot, Michelle.
It's a pleasure. Michelle Ould, everybody. That's it for us.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
You too. PFPsports.com, main page. Click on the ESPN link, Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to have a totally different show. We're going to break everything down. Darren is coming back.
This week's show at a different time?
You know what? Thank you for that. I almost had a brain cramp there for a second. We're actually going to be on after the college football game. I'm completely sorry about that.
Yeah.
1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. See? You can't. I can't be one man circus up here. Thank God for you. Where can we find you on Twitter?
Well, you can find me at LB Host, but you really want to follow Darren at Darren PFP Sports. He's I don't tweet as much MMA as he does, so you want to give him a follow there.
And give me a look at Nick PFP Sports. Of course, our website pfpsports.com. Praise be to the Most High. Catch you next time.
Take care.
Peace.